They're getting nervous. Getting a little nervous.
Sound like Bobby Bush or George Bush. They're getting a little nervous out there.
Because we see them. That's why. I mean, all these cameras, all this databasing, they're looking at us. But what has it done? It's backfired. We see them. And thanks to this film, now, I hope this film gets out everywhere. I hope everybody sees this. I'm telling you, man, this is something special. Racing David. David is David Bond. He's on the program with us today. This film debuted here in Austin, Texas the other night. It's going to be shown again tomorrow at 11 o'clock a.m. at G-Tech. David Bond, thank you for joining us on the show. Where is G-Tech? How do people get down there?
G-Tech, it's at the Austin Conference Center, I believe it's called, which is on Trinity. And it's a great theater, and just head on down. We'd love to see you at 11. After the film, I'm going to do a Q&A session, and I'm going to be joined by one of the private investigators who hunted me down. So
cool.
People can ask questions to me and find out how I hid. Excuse me. But they can also talk to the guys who hunted me down. So it should be fun.
If you're just joining us, David challenged some top-notch private investigators to find him in 30 days using all the available databasing and technology. He had a hell of a time. He had to go out in the middle of nowhere by himself, only himself to talk about, with no technology anywhere around him. Can you imagine that, folks? And that's about where we're at here in the good old, formerly great republic, now democracy of the United States of America. And this is your life, folks. There, but for the grace of God, go I. This film is imaginative, it's creative, and it's all there. And I want you to come down tomorrow at G-Tech at the, I believe it's the convention center, but we'll double check and make sure everybody gets it. You people know how to Google, right? Get down there tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Get there a little bit early because I think it might be crowded. I'm going to be down there, David, and I just greatly look forward to meeting you and Ashley and all you guys that worked on this film, because this is exactly what we've been talking about for years and years and years. I'm so glad to see that other people find this to be an issue.
Well, it really motivates me, Jack, I have to admit, and it's been a huge honor to come over here and to discover that there is a lot of interest in these kinds of issues in the USA. And I have to say, I really feel a great brotherhood around the world for people who are really concerned about this. We've screened in Canada. We've had a great response there as well. I think that people are ready to rise up and say that enough is enough.
Yeah, well, I mean, how do you suggest we do that? Because for me, it's non-participation, and that gets into the whole issue of we're carrying around our BlackBerries, we're carrying around our iPhones, we're taking pictures of your debauchery, my debauchery, and we're putting it up on social networking sites. We are actually doing the job of the government and the corporations in tagging, databasing, and logging in everywhere we go. I mean, I don't want people to be afraid. We don't preach fear on this show. We preach we're not afraid. But why do we want to participate in this? I think civil disobedience comes into this. I think not participating, because the whole thing with the camera phones and the social networking sites, David, you have to understand, I know you know this, is conditioning for the next step, which is implantable microchips tracking us all in a global supercomputer. Do people really understand that with their cell phones, unless they take the battery out or wrap them in foil, that they can be listened to at any time? I mean, that's been on mainstream news here.
I don't think people do realize it, and I think you're absolutely right. We're conditioning not only ourselves to behave in this way, but more importantly, our children. Our children are being brought up in a world where it's utterly acceptable for them to spend hours on the web and just give away personal information about themselves, including their location. What chance have they got to think about these issues if it's how they're brought up?
So it comes down to parenting. I mean, we've got to stop this. You know, I've talked about this. I just got back from Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, where we spoke at a conference about 9/11 and the treason that happened in this country. I don't know if you want to get into any of that, but I say this in all of my speeches. That is, we live in this transitory time in history, never, ever bridged, not comparable to any other time in human history. I know when they did the Gutenberg press, it caused people some alarm, but it's not like this. This technotronic era, as these leaders call it, is unprecedented, and how we handle it now determines how it's going to work in the future. We're responsible, this generation.
I would absolutely second that, and I think what we need to do is we all need to kick back to a certain extent and push back and resist the urges of governments and corporations to gather our data. And if we can all, because we can't rely on the politicians to help us, we know that. I'm pessimistic about the chances of the law catching up with the technology in this area. But I agree with you. What we can do is we can resist. We can resist the urge to put ourselves about, because we're doing that for free. And what are we really getting back? All that we're doing is giving away value. We're giving away vital information that could be used against us or can certainly be used to manipulate us.
In the case of the microchips and VeriChip, you're actually paying for the service. We've had a few states here, including Wisconsin and recently Georgia, who have had to put laws out saying it's illegal now to force our citizens to take subdermal microchips.